Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about top 5
best Conical Burr grinder.
Starting at number 5.
OXO Brew Conical. Schlater loves this OXO grinder for a number of reasons, but chief among them is its built-in intelligent scale, which means you won't lose extra money or counter space buying a separate one. The feature simplifies the process of grinding coffee for your average home brewer and cuts down on equipment, he says. Enter the number of cups you're going to brew and your preferred coarseness for whatever coffee-making method you employ, and the grinder spits out exactly what you need. It's an incredibly thoughtful product, he says. If you're interested in an OXO grinder, we love so many of its kitchen products, after all, but don't need an integrated scale. Recipe developer and cookbook author Salma Dada recommends this model. It's $200 less than the above's regular price. I've had other grinders that gave me grief with error messages for no reason or inconsistent grounds, she says. But in the year and a half she's owned it, she says this one has not failed me yet, even with frequent, up to twice a day, use, during which it takes about 30 seconds to grind whole beans. She also says she appreciates that the hopper is UV blocking, so leaving whole beans in there won't age them, and that it comes off the top of the machine very easily to rinse clean.
Coming at number 4.
Eureka Mignon Crono. Matthew Kong, editor of Eater LA, likes the Eureka Mignon even more than the similarly priced Baratza because he says it has better grind consistency. The catch is that it only mills on the coarser end of the spectrum, meaning it's great for methods like pour-over, French press, and AeroPress, but not espresso. But the grinder is strong, durable, and powerful, Kong says, breaking down whole bags of coffee at a time with its bigger-than-average 50mm flat burrs. Kong does note that the machine only has a small dial to change the grind setting and a tiny button on the bottom to start the grinder without any timers. But he says that doesn't matter. In the end, the beans will be ground more consistently, resulting in better tasting coffee. This grinder certainly makes some noise, but as you can see in this video, it's quite a reasonable level, especially for this price point, as the pro testing it points out.
At number 3.
CUISINART coffee grinder. Before I got my hands on the Baratza, this was the entry-level grinder I had for about a year, one of the most affordable on the market with burr-style blades. It's quite intuitive to use. You simply fill the chamber with beans, set the dial to any of the 18 settings between fine and coarse grind, set the number of cups you are planning to brew, though you won't need this if you pre-weigh the amount of beans you use in the first place, and press start. And while I only used mine only once a month or so, I often buy pre-ground beans. Strategist writer Aaron Schwartz has used the same model nearly every day for more than 5 years and says that it's kind of incredible that it hasn't broken or shown any signs of serious wear and tear yet. They like that the top container can fit a standard size bag of beans, so they don't have to waste pantry space on leftovers. And while they note that it's not the easiest to take apart to clean, most of the pieces are dishwasher safe and it stores well, rectangular and compact with a place to wrap the cord underneath.
Number 2 of my list.
KRUPS GVX 212 coffee. If you're not quite ready to take the plunge on a model upwards of $100, the KRUPS Precision Grinder is a very solid place to start. It comes recommended by Paul Schlater, owner of New York City-based Birch Coffee, who promises it has the essentials: 12 settings for selecting your preferred grind size and a cup selector dial to grind the exact amount of coffee you need for the number of drinks you're making, and that's it. The simplicity is exactly what strategist writer Jeremy Relosa, who bought the machine about 8 months ago, likes about it. Previously, Relosa used a hand crank model that took too much work and a blade grinder that resulted in uneven ground size. The KRUPS, he says, solves both these problems, giving him the ease of an electric machine and the consistency of a burr blade. Now, he says he makes great pour-over daily and never has to fidget with the grind setting or cup dial. He simply pours his beans in, turns it on, and walks away. The appliance also comes with a tiny brush to get all the coffee unstuck from the plastic grounds container, he notes. But if you keep it clean, I've found that you rarely have to use it. The bits just slide right off as you dump them into your filter.
And number 1.
Baratza Encore Conical. As a brand, Baratza came up in our reporting more often than any other. Some favor its higher-end models, more on a couple of those below, but nearly a dozen of the coffee aficionados we spoke with recommended this more affordable option, highlighting its quality performance and solid build, especially for the price. It's simple to use and super consistent, Leroux says. In my own testing, I found the same to be true. The machine took me no more than 5 minutes to set up, and the switches, one to set the grind size and another to turn it on and off, were easy to understand. It takes a couple of rounds to grind a full bag of beans, how I prefer to do it, as opposed to per serving, but works quickly at about a minute per turn. In general, my biggest qualm with coffee grinders is the mess they make, but this one has nicely angled sides on the grind chamber that allow for neat pouring. I find it easy to disassemble, clean, and reassemble the detachable parts before I store it. Umberto Ricardo, founder of Third Rail Coffee, adds that Baratza machines are designed to be repaired instead of thrown away should something break, which is good for my wallet and for the planet. And speaking of repairs, Pratt noted Baratza's great customer service. When you have to replace the burrs every few years, they make it incredibly easy to do so, he says.
Check out this video description for latest price and more informations. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned.